Starfield. I really like this game. I've been having a blast and intend to keep on playing for some time. It's been a great past couple of weeks that I've spent with it, and I'm just really happy to have a good old-fashioned big RPG to explore. I realized, though, there was quite a lot that I wish I had known when first getting started with the game, and it's for that reason that I've partnered with today's sponsor, Bethesda, to compile and share with you some of what I think are the most valuable tips and advice for when you first start playing on your very first Starfield playthrough. So let's get into it. Let's talk about loot. There's loot everywhere. As you go through all of the major points of interest and quest locations, you're going to see rooms and areas full of loot to collect. You should, of course, pick up anything that you need if you're looking for new weapons, new armor, all of that. However, if you're specifically looting and looking around for things that are worth money to trade in for credits, a good rule of thumb is that an item should be worth at least 1,000 credits for every one mass it has. So if you find a helmet that's mass is 5, its value should be at least worth 5,000 credits or above if you want to pick it up with the intention of selling it. Or if there's a pistol, for example, that's mass is 0.7, its value should be at least 700 credits or above. Generally speaking, it does seem like weapons give the most bang for the buck, at least early on, if you are trying to earn some extra money via looting. I've seen many modded and rare weapons with values sometimes 5, 10, 15 times this calculation, like a shotgun with a mass of 2.75 that was valued at nearly 15,000 credits. I mean, that is a great ratio. Also, aid items, things like healing, buffs, and treatments tend to have a good mass to value ratio, as well as spacesuits. And I should note that while looting, keep an eye out for any uncommon, rare, and exotic resources, less for their sell value, but more for their usefulness while crafting and making things. These can be more easily spotted with the rarity indicator that will be located just to the right of the item's name. Oh, and your scanner, be sure to use this. With a quick glance, you'll be able to spot every lootable object and container in an area, as it conveniently highlights all of these for you. So every time I enter a room or a space with lootable stuff, I'll pop this up real quick just to see what it is I can pick up very quickly. So yeah, look for anything that is at least one mass to 1,000 credits. Anything far above that, totally worth picking up, and when it comes to making efficient use of your available inventory space. Now, I will say there will almost certainly with time be other more profitable methods that pop up. Likely it could be like a particular resource to farm, certain items, or craftables even. This will be discovered over time by the community, but at least for now, I think this one mass to 1,000 credits method is a pretty good start. Now, where do you sell your items? Well, every single major city will have a bunch of vendors that'll buy your stuff. Look for things like the general goods shops, weapons, or armor locations. That is a good place to start. Then there's also more niche ones like the doctor's office or booksellers, and of course the good old trade authority, who has both physical shop locations along with kiosks that are located at ship services where you land in every major city. Now let's move on to skills and abilities. Skills and abilities in Starfield are unlocked a bit differently than they are in prior Bethesda RPGs. There are in fact many abilities that are locked behind the skill tree instead of being innately available. Fortunately, these skills are easy enough to acquire. As you play, you gain experience. This levels you up and rewards you a skill point with every level. Spend a point, get the skill. Tons of useful skills that unlock new functionality or mechanics. So for combat and movement, there is boost pack training. You know, that thing that you've no doubt seen in a lot of early gameplay trailers and footage? That's not an innate skill. In order to actually use a boost pack, you have to spend a point in boost pack training and have a boost pack equipped. The gymnastics skill gives you access to a combat slide, as well as allowing you to jump higher, or the crippling skill makes it so that your attacks have a high chance to put an enemy in a down state. There are many skills like this that affect both combat and movement. In terms of social skills, there are things like diplomacy that lets you force an NPC to stop fighting, or intimidation, force an NPC to flee, running away, or instigation that lets you force an NPC to fight their allies. Now, once unlocked, using these and other social skills actually requires you to target an NPC with your scanner and then open the social menu, at which point you can select what action you want them to take. There's also stealth mechanics that are unlocked through the skill trees. Selecting the stealth talent will add an on-screen meter whenever you are crouched that informs you if you are detected or hidden. There is the theft skill, which unlocks the ability to pickpocket targets. And while you can lockpick basic locks by default, the security skill enables you to pick advanced, expert, and master locks. Now, there are 5 skill trees in total, and generally Generally, they work like this. The physical tree will help improve your health, O2 usage, sneaking ability, and melee combat effectiveness. Social skill tree is all about managing your crew and companions, completing speech mini games, doing NPC manipulation, and getting better vendor rates. The combat tree is just strictly about improving your ranged weapons and explosives. The science tree helps improve planetary exploration, scanning, crafting, and outpost building. And the tech tree not only gives you access to the boost packs, but also things like advancements for high-tech weapons, ship building, and ship combat. Every single tree has either 16 or 17 unique skills, and there's a ton of different variety here. Now, after you initially spend a skill point and acquire the first tier of your skill, they can actually be further enhanced. There's going to be a challenge for you to complete once you've unlocked a skill. Typically, this just boils down to using whatever the ability or mechanic is. Once you complete the challenge, it will unlock the next tier, giving you access to a more powerful version, and many times even adding new mechanics or functionality to it. However, you don't just get it by default. Once unlocked, you actually have to spend one more skill point to move up the next tier, with every skill having 4 total ranks available. And I'll just say, pick whatever it is that you find most useful early on, whatever you think is going to help you in your gameplay, be it the combat, the social, whatever it is you think you're going to get the most usefulness out of. But I wouldn't be overly concerned with skill selection, and that's because Bethesda has confirmed there's no level cap in Starfield, meaning eventually you will earn enough points to unlock every single skill and every single one of the 4 total ranks for those skills. It's just a matter of time. Now I want to tell you a bit about travel. Starfield is very liberal with its fast travel system, to the point where you could rarely ever have to physically walk to, board your ship, and take off into orbit manually, because most of the time that is not required. For one, you can fast travel to any previously discovered planets or locations simply by using the map. No need to go back to your ship. All you have to do is open the star map, find the solar system or planet that you're looking for, click on the exact destination, landing spot, or city you want to go to, and then you just hit land, and after a short loading screen, you arrive at your destination. But even for places that you have not yet discovered, travel is still pretty easy. If you're on a quest and don't feel like navigating around the star map to find its exact location, all you gotta do is open up your quest log, select the quest you want to go to, and hit set course. If it's a few systems away, it'll ask you to jump, but then once you do that, it'll put you right in orbit of the exact planet you need to be on. Once you arrive in orbit, open up the map. This will show you the planet. You just click on your landing destination, and then you are there. You are able to do this and fast travel from anywhere, by the way, in the game. This includes interior spaces. You don't have to be outside. You don't have to be near your ship. If you've been there, you can instantly travel there. Even if you haven't been there, you can pretty much just use the game's map navigation. It doesn't have to be about going to, taking off, and flying in your ship whatsoever. All right, next up we got Afflictions. Starfield has this affliction system that are basically debuffs that you just get through the course of playing. These will include things like fractured limbs, lacerations, infections, frostbite, burns, etc. The game will notify you both in the data menu, but also on your compass when you are suffering from one or multiple afflictions, and these will place some kind of debuff on you. Typically, this isn't game breaking, but it's enough of a nuisance that you'll probably want to deal with it, and there are multiple ways to clear afflictions. There are remedy items. These are the aids that you will pick up in med kits and stations and doctor offices and all of that. You can tell which injury will be healed by a particular item just by checking the item's description, but also by the color-coded icon, as every single affliction falls into one of a few different categories that has a color and specific icon for it. Match the icon to whatever the icon of your injury is, and that item will clear it. Also, there are doctors themselves in the game. If you head to a doctor's office, which there are at least one in every major city, speaking to a doctor, they will treat any ailment that you have and heal you up for a very small fee. But then sometimes there's just the ability for things to heal themselves. Some injuries will heal on their own over time. If an injury's prognosis is labeled as either stable, good, or excellent, over time, it will eventually automatically fix itself. However, if it is anything below stable, extreme, or severe, you will absolutely need to go use an item or see a doctor to clear that affliction. Next up, I got some advice for ships in the game. So there are 3 classes of ships in Starfield. A class will have low firepower but high mobility. B class is moderate firepower and mobility. And then C class is high firepower, low mobility. Now, outside of that initial free ship that you were given, 7 at the very start of the game, new ships can be purchased from a service technician and star yards in every major city. However, you can also find, steal, or build a new ship from scratch. Ships you currently have in your roster can be further modified and enhanced at the service technicians. These will let you swap out, move around, and upgrade each and every ship component. And beyond space travel, the biggest benefit of your ship is its cargo hold. This is your portable storage, and if you're anything like me, you will absolutely need it because I hoard up items. So you can manually access the cargo hold and the captain's locker, two separate storages, inside of your ship's cockpit. Both of these are placed in the walls near the pilot seat in your very first ship, the Frontier, although their locations can appear in different areas on ships with different cockpit modules, in which case just look around, you'll eventually see it. And as a bonus tip, when selling items to vendors, you can access your ship's cargo directly, so you don't have to manually pull items out of cargo and then walk to a vendor. Just being at a vendor lets you either choose to sell from your person or to sell from the ship's cargo that you have at the starport. And another big boon for your ships are its crew. Recruited crew as well as your companions can be assigned to a ship on the ship screen. Doing so will add additional skill bonuses to the ship. You just have to read whatever skill bonuses your crew and or companions have to see how it's going to affect you. Now, you do have a limit on how many crew members can be assigned. This is based on how many crew stations your ship has, as well as your ship command skill. Both can be increased by either adding more modules that have crew stations or putting more skill points into the ship command skill. And while flying your ship, you want to pay attention to its power allocation. Depending on whatever the current situation is, you will want to reallocate power between your weapons, engines, shields, and the grav drive. Also, if you're looking to enhance your ship's effectiveness with both flight and combat, you should check out skills in the tech tree, like the piloting skill that helps you increase ship handling and maneuverability, or the target control skill, which is basically like Fallout's VAT system, but for ship combat. And before we wrap it up, a few other bonus tips here. The anomaly. At some point within the campaign, you're going to be asked to locate an anomaly. Trying to find it was a little bit confusing at first for me, so here's my advice. When you arrive on the target planet, use your scanner and just slowly move it around, move the camera around in 360 degrees until you notice this distortion start appearing. It's going to kind of look like the UI is glitching out a bit. That is the direction you want to be moving in. Many times you can also see some sort of a structure visible off in the distance. These tend to be quite tall and easy enough to spot. So if you see these large ruins as well as having the distortion field on your scanner, you are absolutely headed in the right direction. And then once inside, you're going to be presented with this little gravity puzzle. And for that, all you got to do is collect the orbs of light. You'll be able to tell once this process is complete. Contraband. Occasionally, you will come across contraband in your adventures, often found in places like pirate camps and other unsavory locations. These are very illegal items that are also very, very valuable. Contraband items will be marked with a yellow icon next to their name, making them easily identifiable, and they are worth a ton of credits. However, they aren't so easy to sell. As you approach any major settled planet, you will be scanned by its security, checking you for either bounties or contraband on board. And if you are found, you are in big trouble. To increase the likelihood of your ship's contraband staying hidden, you should seek out and install a shielded cargo hold or look for ship modules and perks that increase your chance to evade the scan. Contraband items can only be sold at certain shady vendors. I do happen to know one such person is located on Neon. And then lastly, we got the research stations. These are used for you to learn new crafting and modification recipes. However, you do have to acquire a specific skill point for each of the respective research skills. So check out the skill tree, whatever it is you're looking to do, whether it be spacesuit modification, changing up your weapons, what have you. Take a look at those. That is what you actually need. You need to spend those skill points to get the higher tiers of these modifications at the research stations. And then also, when you're looking to acquire resources for any mods or any upgrades or anything for crafting, there is a track functionality that lets you easily see and spot when out on the field particular items that you are on the search for. And then last but not least, I just want to point you to the in-game help menu. Really, really useful tool. If you've got any questions while playing the game, Starfield has a rather in-depth help system that provides fairly detailed explanations of all of the game's major systems and mechanics. If you have questions about how stealth works, about researching and crafting, about the outpost system, about the different damage types, about the crime system, all of it is in the help menu. Super useful tool. It's basically like having one of those thorough fan-made wikis inside of the game. Absolutely love to see it. Before we we go, I want to say thanks once again to Bethesda for sponsoring today's video. And with that, we're going to wrap up today's video. Hopefully you found this helpful and useful as you begin your Starfield adventure. This is absolutely information that I would have loved to know when first getting started. It should save you some time, maybe make you some money, and make the adventure that much better for you. Thanks for watching. Hope you enjoyed it. I'll see you next time.